College football bowl game madness is here, ladies and gentlemen. Unfreaking real how time flies. Seriously. What's up, everyone? Tonight it's the night of Friday, December 17th, and bowl games are underway already as we speak with Coastal Carolina, Northern Illinois. I'm gonna predict some bowl games myself. I'm gonna predict some of the bigger games. Even did score predictions as well. Score predictions were pretty damn tough to do, so kind of winged it with some of the games. Gonna go through what the lines are, the updated lines as of right now, and give my thoughts on who will eventually win the national championship. I'm gonna save the CFP games and the national championship for last, so those would be the last three I predict. But start with the first one, shall we? Let's go to San Diego, the Frisco Bowl, I should say, on Tuesday, next Tuesday. Number 24 San Diego State taking on UTSA. UTSA favored by 2. Yeah, I don't like San Diego State at all right now. They got absolutely destroyed by Utah State. San Diego State's pass defense was just so lackluster in that game. I think they turned it over like 3 times, I think, or 4 times. They had like several turnovers as well, if I remember correctly. That I'm getting them and Wake Forest mixed up, but yeah, San Diego State's offense not great either. They averaged like I think low 20s in the points per game department. I'm not sure, but they do hold teams to 16 points a game. But yeah, I'm not too much of a fan of San Diego State, honestly. UTSA, if you recall, were ranked at one point, but then they had that inexcusable loss in North Texas. They had a couple of high-scoring affairs with Western Kentucky. UTSA's defense not the greatest statistically, but I mean they could put up some points in a hurry. I think overall, I think UTSA wins by 10 here. I mean, can San Diego State win? Sure. This will be UTSA's definitely among their toughest opponents of the year, but San Diego State haven't liked them as of late, so I think UTSA takes this one here. The TaxAct Camellia Bowl on Christmas Day. My college alum, Ball State, will take on Georgia State. Go Cardinals, chirp, chirp. Georgia State now a 5-point favorite. I think this is a good. Then again, though, there's some reasons why I don't like this matchup either. But I think this is probably one of the better opponents we could have been placed against. I know it sounds funny considering Georgia State's rushing attack is lethal. They do average 222 yards on the ground per game. Ball State's defense can make stops. I've seen them do it. This has been a weird year for them. We went into the season with a lot of ambition. I think we went on like a 4-game losing streak. Then we picked it up in October. Then we kind of were up and down the rest of the year. But did get into a bowl eligible situation, so it was nice. Our second bowl game in a year in a row. So yeah, I'm impressed with how Mike New's coaching his team. We got to get the running game going. We get the running game going. We do have a solid running game for sure. I mean, it's really good. Plitt can throw. I think Plitt's underrated, honestly. If he can get things going, I think Plitt can really do some damage. I would say just control the clock and force Georgia State to throw. And I think that's how we're going to win this game, honestly. Just some good old, I don't know how to explain it, but you know what? I'm going to take Ball State to win. I think we have a good shot winning this game, honestly. Georgia State can win, too. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to come down to the wire, but I see the Cardinals getting their second bowl game win in school history. Let's get it. I went to the game against Miami, by the way, back on the 23rd of October. Well, unfortunately, we lost, but it was fun to go see them. Let's go to the Birmingham Bowl. We have Auburn versus number 20 Houston. Auburn is a 3-point favorite as we speak. Now, this is going to be pretty much a home game from Auburn because they're from Southeast Alabama, but coming up to Birmingham, going to be a load of Auburn fans. Houston fans, I think, travel well from what I've seen. Auburn's defense is what's got this team still in the mix, I guess, if you want to say that. They're on a 4-game losing streak. They've, of course, Bo Nix was done for this season. Now he's in the transfer portal, shockingly. I thought he was a senior already. I'm not the biggest fan of Auburn's offense at all. They struggled against Alabama, especially when they got going. And that's why I think Houston is going to be, I think Houston's going to be a real challenge in this game. I think this is a good game for both teams. I think the committee did really well with some of these bowl game selections, I will be honest. Houston kept it close to Cincinnati in the first half, then they kind of let things go. Houston's defense is pretty good. I do like Clayton Tune. He can make some plays. Houston's running game can get going too. Houston's just got to open things up gradually. Auburn's defense is going to try and stifle them a little bit, but I do have Houston winning by 3 in this game. I mean, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Auburn's backup quarterback. I mean, they tried to. That 4 overtime game against Alabama was absolutely ridiculous. It was just crazy, down to the wire, obviously. But Auburn could definitely win this game. I think it could go either way. I think it's going to be a tight one in Birmingham. The Alamo Bowl, we got number 16 Oklahoma versus number 14 Oregon. Oklahoma, a 4.5-point favorite. I'm going to start with Oregon. Oregon shouldn't even be ranked at this point. Or at the very least, it shouldn't be above 20 because, Utah absolutely smoked them twice in 3 weeks. Utah absolutely shut them down. Usually when you face a team the second time, a lot of the times what happens is things get much closer. But Utah, they shut them down even more, I think, technically, in their second game in the Pac-12 title game. That was just an astounding performance by Utah. We'll get to them later, of course. Oklahoma, their defense has sucked most of the year, but it seems like they were trying to work things up near the end against especially Oklahoma State. I have little to no issue with their offense. Caleb Williams has led this team pretty well. Spencer Rattler going to South Carolina. Why are you going to South Carolina, bro? I don't know. What's there at that school? Not trying to be like that. No, I do like South Carolina basketball, but But Oklahoma, they were able to pretty much burn Oklahoma State's defense downfield, and Oregon does have trouble on defense now. For some about injuries at Oregon, but the matter of the fact is this: Oregon's not the same team they were in years past. Definitely not the 2014-15 Oregon team we knew back then. I got Oklahoma winning by 10. I think Oregon will play a lot better than they did against Utah, but I think Oregon's I don't know. You never know, though. You never know. That's why Oklahoma's only favored 4.5, because Oregon can put up some offense, but again, we'll see what happens. But maybe I'm being a little bit too aggressive with the score there, or the differential, the victory margin of victory there, but that's my opinion. That game, by the way, is on Wednesday, December 29th. The following day, we have the Peach Bowl with number 10 Michigan State versus number 12 Pittsburgh. Things have really developed with this game over the last day. Just got the news that Kenny Pickett of Pitt, the quarterback, will not be playing in this game because he is declared for the 2022 NFL Draft. Kenny Pickett had an amazing season with Pitt. I think he had 42 touchdowns. Pitt can't play some defense. They showed it against Wake Forest. Either that or Wake Forest made stupid mistakes. Either way, they threw 4 interceptions in that game against Pitt. Michigan State cannot stop the pass at all. They're probably the worst pass defense. Michigan State, though, did beat Penn State to close the season well after getting absolutely throttled by Ohio State. Michigan State, I'm not too concerned with their offense. I've seen them be able to put points up easily in general, but Michigan State's a weird team. They are. You feel like they may be a top 10 team, but maybe they're not. It's one of those rough around the edge things. But with Kenny Pickett not playing for Pittsburgh, I'm actually taking Michigan State. Who even knows what Pitt can do now since Pickett ain't going to play? I don't even know. I was originally taking Pittsburgh by 12, but I'm actually swapping my pick drastically to take Michigan State. Michigan State is favored 2.5. Peach Bowl should be a good one on Thursday, December 30th, down in Atlanta, Georgia. We have the Gator Bowl on New Year's Eve. That's a Friday this year at 11 a.m. in Jacksonville. Got an early start here for number 25 Texas A&M, who will take on number 17 Wake Forest. That's what W stands for. Texas A&M has had quite an interesting season. Remember, they knocked off Alabama. That was a very tight game. Texas A&M was up double digits, I think, at one point. I think, what's the dude's last name? Calzada, their backup quarterback. Texas A&M has been playing with their backup quarterback for much of the year. And he's actually stepped up to the plate quite a bit. And I know Texas A&M has had a couple of bad losses, but for the most part, Texas A&M, they boast a pretty good defense. Wake Forest, I'm sorry, they're overrated. I think they're overrated. I'm watching this team every week. They're putting up like 45 plus points. There was one game where they won 70 to 56, and that was against Army. But Army still scored 56 points. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Wake Forest has no defense. Zilch. Zero. Absolute donuts. No defense. I hate teams with no defense. Texas A&M's going to take advantage of that. I think Wake Forest could put up some points on Texas A&M. Texas A&M's favored 4.5. I'm taking Texas A&M to win. I just think they're tougher. I think they're the tougher team, honestly. I think they're just a better team, honestly. Texas A&M's been playing some teams tough this year. You know, teams have followed some strange trend, they've had some strange up and down moments, but Texas A&M, I trust them more here. Pitt, when they went up, Wake Forest went up against Pitt, yeah, first quarter was explosive, but what did they do after that? Turn it over every damn time they had the ball pretty much, so I don't trust Wake Forest. Sorry, Wake Forest fans. Outback Bowl, like I said, we're going to do the CFP games last, the college football playoff games last, because got to save the best for last, right? Number 21, Arkansas will take on Penn State in the Outback Bowl on New Year's Day. That's a Saturday. Arkansas has been a team I have not particularly been on the hype train, or not hype train, but I have not been on the Arkansas train all that much this year. Early in the year, they were heating up, and then they pretty much blew a gasket against Auburn. They got shut out by Georgia, then they blew a gasket against Auburn. They had that really crazy game against Ole Miss. They could have easily won that game, but Matt Corral just made the difference in that game. That was a crazy game. I think KJ Jefferson's a good quarterback. I think he's a little underrated. The dude can really make some plays. And you watch against Alabama, Arkansas kept on trying to come back in that game, but ultimately lost by 7. Arkansas's defense is real suspect. Don't like them too much. I mean, they gave up how many passing yards to Alabama? 570? Ooh. Anyway, Penn State's defense is pretty damn good. I'm not too much of a fan of their offense. They are at one point ranked number 4 in the year. Then Clifford got that concussion against Iowa. Then Penn State's season kind of went downhill from there. Then Penn State had that absolutely absurd 9 overtime game against Illinois. That was the same weekend I visited Ball State back on October 23rd. That game was ridiculous. Illinois beat them by 2 in that game. Penn State, though, I don't want to push them over. I think their defense keeps them in. As a matter of fact, Penn State is favored 2.5, and I'm going to take Penn State 20-17. I just think Arkansas is just. I don't know what to think of this team. I've been having a hard time even wanting to gauge this team this year. They've had moments where they were really good, and they have moments where they really suck. I mean, really suck. And I think Arkansas has really struggled against good defenses. They can't get around the hump. Like Auburn. I mean, they scored how many points? I know they put up 23 against Auburn, but Auburn put up 38 against them. I think Penn State will win. Either way, though, I think it's a close one. Fiesta Bowl. Let's go to Arizona, where number 5 Notre Dame will host number 9 Oklahoma State. Notre Dame is favored by 2, rightfully so. I'm surprised the line ain't kind of higher. I could get why, though. Notre Dame, I was not really sure why they were ranked in the top 10 or top 15 earlier in the season. They almost lost to Florida State, Toledo. But in the last 6 weeks of the season, I've gained a lot more trust in Notre Dame. They've been actually winning some games. They've been winning games by a lot of points. Then, of course, Brian Kelly announces he's going to suddenly go to LSU. Not the biggest fan of that maneuver, what he pulled. So you got Marcus Freeman now coaching this team. Marcus Freeman already trying to make an impact, trying to get these guys riled up for the game. I think he's going to do a good job of it, too. From what I'm overhearing, I think he will do just fine with this team. Oklahoma State, not the biggest fan of you guys. What is happening to your defense? Listen, Oklahoma State at one point, they were looking good, then they lost to, I think it was Iowa State, then they started coming back up again. I think they were at one point ranked like number 5, I think, or 6, one of the two. But Spencer Sanders cannot stop turning over the ball, and I mentioned this to my group chat, my weather group chat. We all like sports too as well, telling them that Spencer Sanders has to take care of the ball. And what did he do? He threw like 3 interceptions in the Big 12 title game against Baylor. And Baylor was without Gary Bohannon. I don't know if he's playing against I don't want to spoil it, but I don't know if he's playing in their bowl game. But Baylor's defense came to play. They shut Oklahoma State down for most of that game. And Oklahoma State's defense has been suspect lately. I haven't liked them too much. They're supposed to be a really good defense. That's what a lot of the reason why they got to where they were at one point, like number 6. But where has their defense been lately? I have no idea. The backup quarterback for Baylor threw 3 touchdowns. I don't think he even turned over the ball at all. So you tell me, where's the Oklahoma State Cowboys defense? Turned into that guy from Pulp Fiction, but that little meme or whatnot. But listen, I just think Notre Dame's going to win convincingly a little bit here. I think Notre Dame is just, I don't know. It could be close, though. Oklahoma State might be stewing about that one, with Baylor. They were really close to actually winning that game. They came within like a couple yards, a yard or whatnot, of getting a touchdown and taking the lead. But I think the way Notre Dame's playing, I like them, honestly, in this one. Especially considering the fact Oklahoma State's offense has been trash lately at times. Let's go to the Citrus Bowl, number 22, Kentucky versus number 19, Iowa. Kentucky favored by 3 on New Year's Day. This is going to be an emotional game for those who, of course, have been seeing the news. Kentucky had the tornado outbreak. That one, it took me a few days to actually get over that mentally. I'm in the weather business, and it really, watching that tornado in western Kentucky especially was a nightmare. 165-mile path length. I don't know. But Kentucky, they're really emotional time right now. Of course, they're going into this game with a lot of emotion. Of course, Iowa. Kentucky, okay, let's start with Kentucky, though. Kentucky, kind of a surprise this year. They were at one point ranked like top 15 in the game against Georgia. Just they didn't do much in that game, but Kentucky could score. I don't know a whole lot about this team, but I realized a couple of things. They can really score. They've been playing some decent defense at times. Iowa's got defense, and that's it. I don't care what anyone says. Their offense sucks. I mean, they can only they've struggled to even put up points at times in the last few weeks. And then they faced Michigan. They got blown up 42-3. So what else is new? Iowa to me is just a really weak team, like more weak than we think. They were at number 2 at one point in the year. Then they really tanked. Loss to Purdue started it all for them. Goodness. I think with the emotion Kentucky has right now, of course, I mean, obviously Kentucky wasn't directly impacted unlike Western Kentucky was. Western Kentucky did get hit that night too in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I think Kentucky, they're going to carry out the emotion and win a tough, low-scoring game. The head coach of Iowa's football team was really cool to see what he said. He said if there's anything that they can do for them, for the state, they'll do it and whatnot. Was really, I really, maybe have even more respect for this team and the coach for Iowa. Kentucky needs all the help they can get. It's going to take a long time for all those areas to rebuild. But either way, I think Kentucky wins an emotional game here in a low-scoring fight. It will be close. The Rose Bowl, I will be watching this game with my dad. Me and my dad were watching Utah beat up Oregon, and of course they're in the Pac-12 title game. Number 6, Ohio State versus number 11, Utah. Ohio State is a 6.5-point favorite, and rightfully so. Ohio State has one of the best offenses in the country. C.J. Stroud putting together a nice freshman season. Ignore the dogs in the background, but Ohio State's defense is a little bit problematic at times. They can have issues. It's been, of course, for Ohio State fans, I should say, it was definitely not great. I'm losing my train of thought. Guys! I don't know if they're barking at anything, but, Izzy! Sorry about that. Ohio State fans, though, I know that, I'm sure that, they're definitely not happy with that game against Michigan, the Big Ten title game, because not the Big Ten title game, but the last regular season game. I'm telling you, when the dogs start barking, my brain goes off track. But Michigan, of course, winning that game by 15. Definitely some questionable calls in that game with Ohio State and Michigan, but Michigan really plays a tough defense and running all over Ohio State. And Utah, Utah's a pretty complex team. I'm definitely impressed with this team, the way they've been coming about this year. Cameron Rising, their quarterback, and their running back, I don't remember his name, but they have Utah State's got a legit running threat, especially with the passing game too. Utah's defense, I liked how they did some trap coverage against Oregon the second time they faced, especially. Utah's sneaky. You know what? I'm going to take an upset here. It's risky to do that, but I'm going to take Utah to upset Ohio State. Ohio State, though, I'm sure they are not pleased with losing to Michigan the way they did. And I think that's just going to fester with them until this point. So I expect the Rose Bowl to be a damn good one. Definitely must-watch game. But I will take Utah to upset Ohio State 34-31. And the Sugar Bowl here on New Year's Day down in New Orleans, down in Mardi Gras. We have number 8 Ole Miss taking on number 7 Baylor. The line's even. Baylor was favored by 1.5. Now the line's gone even, so I don't know what's going on now. I'm assuming it's because Gary Bohannon may not play, but Ole Miss, a lot of offense, not a great defense. They're an offensive team. I do like Matt Corral. I think at one point they were even mentioning his name for being the Heisman Trophy winner, but of course it went to Bryce Young, rightfully so. Ole Miss can put up a bunch of points. They're dangerous on offense. Baylor is a great defensive team. They are able to just stifle you. They just stifle you. I've seen this against, of course, Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game. But at times this year, they've barely won games they should be winning much more by. That was a little bit of a concern of mine going into the Big 12 game. That's why I took Oklahoma State. But, hey, Baylor really stepped up to the plate. So props to them on that. I think Ole Miss is in trouble here. I'm sure some people are going to I think a lot more people are going to take Ole Miss just because they have that high-powered offense. But you got to remember, defense more often than not wins. And I think Ole Miss, when they haven't faced a defense like this in a minute, I'll take Baylor to upset I wouldn't even call this an upset. Baylor's ranked one spot ahead of Ole Miss. This is not an upset, really. I'll take Baylor to beat Ole Miss, but it will be a tight one. But you never know. This could be fairly interesting, actually. I'll pay attention to this one, too. All right, guys, let's get to the big ones. Let's do this. The Cotton Bowl, number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Cincinnati. Alabama's still a 13.5-point favorite. This game's on New Year's Eve at 3:30 p.m. in Arlington, Texas. Alabama's had a non-characteristical year at some points. Yeah, it's been strange because, for instance, Florida almost beat them. LSU almost beat them. Their loss was to Texas A&M, as I said earlier. Arkansas gave them a fight. Auburn almost got them. Some people were saying Michigan, Alabama should have been swapped. I kind of agree with that, actually, because Alabama, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough picture to look at, but at the end of the day, this is where we stand. A lot of heat drawn with the top 4, that's for sure. Usually is. And the CFP needs to go to 8 teams. I don't care what anybody says. Needs to go to 8 teams. The top 4 thing is a little ridiculous, but make it more competitive. So that's my thing on it. Alabama, though, really started to play their best ball this season. They absolutely just torched Georgia's defense. The way they were able to pick apart Georgia's defense, incredible. Jameson Williams is probably the best receiver in all of college football. Alabama's defense stepping up to the plate as well. They're starting to really get things going. So there's that. Probably America's darling here in this whole thing is Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been impressive. I like this Cincinnati team. One thing that's been concerning me about this team though the last few weeks, their slow starts and Desmond Ridder. Not trying to talk, the thing is, seen Desmond Ridder turn over a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but not much. Just enough though to be like, But he is a really good quarterback. He does quite a lot for this team too in offense. Ford, the running back, that dude is very damn good. Cincinnati's running game is very stout too. It's Cincinnati's defense. That's what makes this team who they are. Their defense is absolutely incredible. Their backfield, especially with Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant. That's with a C, by the way. Cincinnati, I would love for them to pull off the upset here. And this is actually a team I'm going to root for. Because I mean, I would like to see a great story about that. Like, just a tremendous run by this team like that. Ultimately, though, I do have Alabama win by 13. I think this will be close in the first half, but I think Alabama pulls away. But hey, if Cincinnati pulls off the upset, wouldn't that be something? See what happens. A lot of people saying Alabama's going to kill them. I don't think they're going to kill them like that personally, but I think they'll pull away in the second half after a close first half. Let's go to the Orange Bowl, where number 2 Michigan takes on number 3 Georgia. The line is Georgia favored by 8. I'm a little shocked by that because I think Georgia's defense got a little more exposed than we thought. Some of us originally think. This game is going to take place at 7:30 p.m. on New Year's Eve night. Michigan's hot at the right time. This is what you call getting hot at the right time. Jim Harbaugh's got this team playing at an excellent level. The defense is cooking. The running game is stout. Chris McNamara is, or not Chris, well, I don't know his first name, but I think it is. But McNamara has been really throwing the ball well. Michigan's just doing everything right. Fine, like they're just continuously been climbing. Georgia, yeah, they had the best defense. They still do. I mean, I don't know if I call them the best defense now, but I guess you could. Georgia was undefeated. They were number 1 pretty much the whole season, just tearing through everything, literally, especially on the defensive end. Georgia's offense doing some good things. Stetson Bennett playing well. Then comes the Alabama game, the SEC title game, and Alabama just completely beats their ass at some points in the game. I mean, Georgia's defense just had no answer. No freaking answer. Now, it just made me wonder, is Georgia's defense really all that? I don't know. Personally, after watching that, I'm way less confident in Georgia beating Michigan. And a lot of people are probably going to pick Georgia, but you know what? I'm not your average ordinary person. I'm taking Michigan to upset. Or I don't even. Why the hell would you call this an upset? This is not an upset in terms of the perspective of the line, yeah, but I'm taking Michigan to beat Georgia by 6. The score could widely vary with this game. This was a tough one to put a score on, but I just think Georgia's, I don't know, tough one. Real tough one. This was probably one of the toughest games to pick for sure. So in my national championship, I have the following. I have number 1 Alabama versus number 2 Michigan. A lot of people are probably going with an SEC title rematch, which I hope to God does not happen, which would be boring in my opinion. Don't want to see that again. We already know Alabama would beat them up again probably. But number 1 Alabama versus number 2 Michigan. Michigan could throw Alabama off with how dynamic their team is, but Alabama is, of course, dynamic as well. So this would be a dynamic clash. Dynamic must be the word of the night, I guess, now. But this would be a really good game. Of course, the championship game is here in Indianapolis. Going to draw, of course, a large crowd. Going to be something. I'm looking forward to this. We'll see, though. But ultimately, with Alabama and their coaching, I trust them a little more, especially in the coaching department. Nick Saban, dude knows what to do in any situation. Jim Harbaugh's had a history of not so bright moments in college football with coaching. So I'll take Alabama to win by a score of 33-27. Either way, though, we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to some of these bowl games. I hope you guys are too. Thank you guys for watching. I'll have my bracketology update coming within a day or so or whatnot. The updated college basketball bracketology update. Until then, though, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys again later.